Hello and welcome. It is time for round two of the ISRL Division 1 Championship, and we've got a fantastic race here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Spanish Grand Prix here at Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona. Really excited to be here, really excited to kick things off for what is round two of the Division 1 Championship. My name is Eric, or Fallen Monkeys, here in the booth to take you through the action, joined, of course, by Jamie Morris. And Jamie, just want to check in. Are you here with us, and how you doing here today?
Always here, and I'm doing very well, thank you very much. I'm just waiting for this moment to arise at 8 o'clock, and obviously it's elsewhere, different countries, different times for you, but very nice to be back for round two after saw a fantastic opening round of the season back in Austria, where Relentless Nathan took the victory ahead of Giroud and Isak Kush right off the top three. So hopefully we can have another good race here, but this track is very, very difficult because it's just tyres overheat so much, the low grip surface, and it's just very easy to make a mistake in general. It's all about car placement, being very precise at this track, and it's going to be very difficult to see how the drivers will take it. It's all about being very consistent around here, and we'll see how the drivers manage it then. The best of them will come out on top.
Yep, definitely. We'll see how the drivers are going to play this out. Sector 3, of course, is always difficult here on this circuit, but we've got Nathan here coming around the final corner, about to start his first flying lap now. Do you want to do the honors, or do you want me to take us through it here today?
He compromised his final corner. He always spun the car, half-spun the car, so basically he's not going to have a good lap as he wanted to, but as we come into turn 1 then, use this curb on the entry, brake before the 50 metre ball, mount this curb into turn 1 using 4th gear or 5th gear. Second corner is also as well, and third corner you want to get as close as possible, then just go out wide but not too wide, then come back in a little bit, then you want to brake under the shadow as we head into turn 4. Brake he kissed the apex of the entry, which you want to do, bring it out wide to the left hand side, then bring it over to the right, brake in a straight line, down into third gear we go, then hit the curb on the exit, he goes down to second for a late shift. And he comes into turn number 7. You want to mark this curb, which he doesn't really do. But coming to turn 8, he slides a bit on the rear. You can see the car just sliding there. And we head into turn 9. Lifts off slightly. DRS enabled. You can't take it flat out anymore in these modern day cars because of the reduced downforce. Breaking the 100 metre board. Kiss the apex on the entry. Don't go out too wide on this corner because it's very easy to do so. You want to scrub off all the speed. This third sector, we see most people struggle because of high temperatures. We've got one retired. That was in turn 8.
That was Calvin.
Yeah, a bit of hesitation going into that corner from Nathan Nolan. Nolan, sorry. On board with Nolan, am I on board with the right driver?
Well, I was on board with Nathan there. That you seem to be following. No worries, but a 1:15.5 is the time to beat now. As Nolan right behind sets a much more pedestrian relative 1:16.1. As the times are going to start to fall here now. Calvin, we did see that very briefly going through the lap. That was right at turn 8. Let's see if we have somebody coming close here. One of the Ferraris right over here that we can see on board with Dan was where Calvin had lost it. Now turn 8, of course, very challenging, very tricky corner, as it has been year over year here in the F1 video game universe. Always challenging. You gotta watch out, especially with those curbs. They can really unsettle the car. But unfortunately for Calvin, didn't work out too well for him. But still, as the times are falling, Nathan is still occupying that provisional pole, 15.5, about 4/10 up from Killer Blue, who set a 15.9 here on his first time around.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm on board with the wrong driver. I was on board with Nolan. You're probably confused, but yeah, apologies about that. Gary lost it coming out off turn 12. He may have hit the inside curb and he spun there, so he's on another lap time. But the thing is, though, you don't want to do another lap on the same set of tyres because tyre wear is very high around here. So you only want to do preferably one lap on those soft compound tyres. Medium tyres, obviously, you can get away with, but one lap on the same set of softs is ideal enough because tyre wear, like I said, it'll bite you in the end on the first stint. So yeah, you can see there he's struggling coming out of turn 6 there. You want to have out the right window because the tyres overheat a lot in sector 3. You slide a lot. You've got to be very careful and smooth with the throttle. If you're not, it can cause consequences, especially coming out of turn 10. You don't want to have any wheel spin either. I think somebody's lost it coming out there. Is that rotation? No, it's not rotation. I think it's a few cars slowing down.
Could have been Carmentalist, I think, in the Let's see, I believe it was, I see Carmental is going very slow here, letting drivers through. Not any wing damage, but it did look to be right around where he was on track there, having, I think maybe just unsettled the car just that tiny little bit. Through right around turn 8, turn 9, which already is seeming to be a little challenging here for some of these drivers here.
Yep, indeed. I'm not expect a lot of these drivers to struggle because this track is super difficult. I class this as a pre-season test, a real challenge for the drivers. Real life F1 drivers have said that they've done loads and loads of laps around here in Spain because of the most modern difficult tracks, and it's a pre-season track as well where you can get really good information coming out of this track. It's usually a Mercedes track I've seen in the past, but I'm on board with Relentless Walter here coming into these final few corners now. Hitting the curbs nice there, and he heads into the final corner. Then we'll see what lap time the McLaren driver sets as he makes his way towards the line. It's a 60.1. He's done 2 laps on those set of tyres. If I remember correctly, on his first lap, he made a mistake coming out of turn 2, made a horse on the corner by mounting the curb in turn 2, so that's probably why he's done 2 laps on those set of tyres. Probably get a feeler as you just want to do that 1 lap on those set of tyres then.
Yeah, of course, and I could see 16.1, not a bad lap time, puts him right around where his teammates are, but I believe there was a little bit of a lift from Wouter as he was crossing the line there, so maybe keeping a little bit in the tank there just in case, so that he can put on a fresh set of tires. Whether or not he chooses to opt for the softs or gamble on the mediums remains to be seen. We saw a lot of drivers who had initially set their lap times on the mediums, the likes of Jerome Visser and QVR Campbell leading the charge there with some of the medium tire runners, which are a little bit more, as you were implying, Jamie, a bit more of the race tire here for this circuit. Given how the tire wear is, given how the soft tires tend to last. But it looks like, at least for Campbell and Drone, actually going back out on the softs. So, do you think it's worth trying to put yourself in the soft tires, be on that quickest tire off the start, or would you prefer to take that gamble on the mediums and try to have a bit more of that racy tire to start the race?
I prefer to start on the medium tyres, but of course track position is very crucial around here. It's very difficult to overtake around the circuit, especially that third sector sliding all over the place. You need a really good exit out of that final corner to try and get your rivals into turn 1, but there's a DRS trade as well, so I think these drivers they want to start on the medium compound tyres, of course, but obviously track position around here, getting inside that top 10 is really crucial. The worst place to start inside the top 10, if you're on the soft compound tyres, of course, is like 8th downwards, because you have mediums right behind you, be stuck in that DRS trade. But QVR Campbell, then we've got him on a lap coming into turn 9 now, takes it very nice, lifts off, so you can't go flat out, as you probably would in the 2020 game with the less downforce of these cars. Brakes on the 100 metre board, locks up slightly, hits the curb. It's very easy to go out wide through here. This sector 3. This turn here, I think it's turn number 12, it's like Hungary. You don't want to touch that curb, you want to keep it off. Keep off the curb as much as possible. Kiss the apex into this one and scrub off all the speed into these final 2 corners. It's very easy to mess up these slow speed corners here. Now, get a really good exit coming out of those 2 corners. Coming to the final corner, and QVR Campbell will come across the line to set a 15.6. That's a decent lap time on the soft compound tyres, up into P2, so he's definitely committed to start on those.
Yeah, very good lap time indeed from Campbell. Puts him up into second, only about 1/10 of a second behind Nathan, who's still hanging on to that provisional pole with that initial lap time. But looking at the likes of Giron in the Red Bull running a lap right now, Ninja Viking diving into the pits. Dan having just started a lap, but I think we know Jerome, he's got a lot of pace in that Red Bull. I'll take a look here as he gets Nathan to give him a little bit of a tow down that back straight. He's about 3/10 faster than his previous best, so if he can just find a little bit more time in Sector 3, it's going to be a very good lap here. As you can see, just a few more corners to go. Takes a good amount of curb there, but a lot of it is going to rely on those final few corners. Jumps that little sausage curb there around the last corner here and across the line. It's a 15.8, so only 3rd fastest for Jerome, as he puts himself between Campbell and Killer Blue here with about half the session remaining here in this short qualifying.
Yep, indeed. And looking at the full map, I believe an Alpine or Williams, I can't quite tell. Yeah, it's Carmental. He was 3/10 up in the middle sector, and he's just dropped it coming out of turn 11 there. That's a very common place to drop it. Done it myself. I've seen plenty of drivers do it before. While Jerome Visser was on a lap time, Isa Kush also had a problem at turn 3. He spun the car, and that's why he has to set a representative lap time. He's just heading around those final 2 corners now, but he's heading back in the pit lane because he knows those soft tyres are no longer useful around this track, so he'll get rid of those and probably put on a brand new set or something with 7 minutes and 23 seconds left to go. Relentless Nathan did this last week as well, being on provisional pole there, but I think he's just made a mistake. I just flicked on ball with him coming into turn 9. I think he just went off the track slightly and he's backed off his lap, so another mistake going on there. It's so easy to make a mistake around this track, but Relentless Nathan nevertheless is still on provisional pole.
Yep, still on pole for now. That mistake could prove to be a little bit costly, though, for him, as it's essentially an abandoned lap. Now, especially, you were saying it here, we're seeing a lot of mistakes here in the flying laps. Of course, just goes to show the difficulty of this track, and of course, with the skill of these drivers, you feel as if almost your lap has to be perfect to get that result you're hoping for, especially here in qualifying, where you know every driver here practices the qualifying. They put in a lot of effort here to get that 1 lap pace. And we're seeing that here already, as Killer Blue went about a 1/10 of a second faster, but only, well, actually no, he leapfrogged Jerome to go up into 3rd here with a 15.7, but still about 2/10 slower than our pole sitter Nathan, who looks to be going on a 2nd lap here from what I saw. Purple in the 1st sector. We'll see if he decides to keep it up here, as he has already done 1 lap on these tires. Not much ERS in the tank. I think once he gets to the end of Sector 2, we'll get a bit of a better idea of what he chooses if he's going to continue on it. Crucially, he is about 2/10 faster on this lap, so looking to be on good pace if he can keep it up here through Sector 3. But with very limited ERS, having run that 1st lap already, there is still a very good chance that he just abandons it, dives into the pits here. And that is exactly what he's going to do. So he put in the effort. He knows he can go faster. He's just got to put it together here at the end of the session with time ticking down here. 5 minutes and change left in this session. So pressure's on for a lot of these drivers. And I believe if I'm looking near, especially those down at the bottom, like Isaac Kush, who doesn't even have representative time just yet. He's got the pressure. Wouter crossing with a 15.6, so he jumps up into 2nd, overtaking QVR Campbell. But still, nobody's been able to touch the 15.5 set very early on in this session by Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan, on his 2nd lap time, looked very confident in those corners, despite doing that 2nd lap, because in the 1st sector alone, you put a lot of energy, you put a lot of load, especially on that left front tyre, so that's a lot of good information there for Nathan, because he didn't really make any mistakes on that 2nd lap, so on his fresh new tyres, on his last set of fresh tyres, he'll be going for pole to beat his provisional lap time of 15.5, so yeah, very surprised those tyres managed to cope.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look here. Sorry, as I'm just going through the order here, as I think we're starting to see a couple drivers getting set for their final flying laps. You can see Izat Kush out early, very unsurprising given that he's got to get something on the board, wants to be out on track here in these closing stages. The likes of Rotation, Dan, and just recently Jamian also leaving the pit lane here. So we're going to be, we're very quickly approaching that time for that final shootout here. The question is who's going to be able to put it together, and can they match Nathan here on that time? We've seen the likes of Wouter Campbell come close. We know Izat Kush can probably put a lap together if he can make it work. I see Carmental is down at the bottom of the order. That's a little surprising to see here this late in the session. Normally he's up there as well. Rotation we know has the pace. He's just got to put a lap together. He just needs that consistency there, but we'll see, as I think Dan is leading the charge here on these final few laps as he crosses the line to get set for our final shootout here for pole position.
Yep, as he makes his way into turn 1, breaking before the 50-metre board, hit the apex, not taking a lot of curb as other people have done in the recent times. Coming into turn 3 then, kiss the apex here, they go out wide but not too wide. He's put a lot of energy into that sweeping right-hander there. Break at the shadow, he's a few hundreds up in the first set, doesn't kiss the apex there. So that's a little bit of time to be found there from Dan, but he's limited on time. Takes a very nice approach in there, gets back on the throttle immediately into 4th gear, short shift to help him reducing that wheel spin. Coming into turn number 7, the one I hate the most. I've spun him in recent times in the pre-season race. Luckily it was pre-season. Coming into turn 9 then, lifting off, doesn't go in 7th gear, but it goes a little bit wide as we head into turn number 10 then. Heavy braking zone here, important score for the speed because it's very, very easy to go out wide through here. Now set to 3 where the tyres will be crying out. Touches the curb there but gets away with it. You don't want to get on the curb whatsoever. It's like turn 6 at Hungary. Now coming into slow speed corners here, very important to scrub off all the speed. Don't get on the throttle too early, be very, very patient, squeeze the throttle, and now we're coming towards the final corner. Let's see what Dan sets, makes his way towards the line. It's going to be a 16.1. He pops himself into P8, does Dan. And somebody just crossed the line when that was an Alpine, was it? I'm not quite sure.
That I didn't quite get to see. I was jumping over to Izat to see what he could do. Had an invalidation on that previous lap time, so pressure's definitely on now, as already 1 lap on those softs, and that's another invalidation very early on there. So it's going to be close. He should have enough time to get 1 more lap set, but the question is, will he want to get that next lap set and use up another lap of wear? And spins it into the wall and will not even get the benefit of making the choice, as a bit of a very disappointing qualifying session for Izat Kush at the end there. Just couldn't get the lap together and just unsettled the car too much, rode that curb. And that's the end of his session, and we'll have his work cut out for him starting way down in 19th here. But let's see, who else is running a lap right now? Wouter, and that was AJ as I went through very quickly. That looked to be right at turn 2 as he had a big moment, and he's out of this qualifying session as well. There's that car there.
Coxey spun as well.
Oh no!
He managed to keep out of the barrier. Good job from Coxey keeping out of the barrier there.
Thank goodness for Coxey, as you can see he's trying to get back to the pit lane as safe as possible there. But here at the end, as drivers are pushing very hard here, pushing the track to their limits, proving to be a little bit of a challenge here in this circuit, as it looks like Campbell, he crossed the line, came close, but Nathan extended his gap there through all of the chaos. It's a 1:15.2, that's the time to beat. Campbell came close to the 15.5. You got Wouter running a lap right now at the end of Sector 1, but going a little bit slower as qualifying has come to a close here. Drivers got to finish their laps. Let's take a look at Killer Blue. He's been around that discussion for that provisional pole here in Spain, excuse me, about a 10.5 up on his time, but he's got to find a little bit more here through Sector 3, staying very close to the curb there on that corner. Only a few to go now, running into a little bit of traffic up ahead, which could cause a little bit of dirty air. You saw you unsettled the car. Not too sure if you're looking at the same thing I was, Jamie, but you are. So Killer Blue went faster, but not fast enough. Who else? Let's see if Welter's gonna have some improvement, going very, very wide on that on the exit there around the final corner. Z crosses the line. It's a 15.6, about the same time, 6/1000s faster. And Jerome going very wide, touching the grass there. I don't think he's going to be able to challenge as he crosses the line here. It's a 15.9, a 1/10 of a second slower than his best time, and that's going to do it here for qualifying. So once again, a familiar face here of Ariel Nathan taking pole position here in Spain.
Second consecutive pole. Good job to Nathan there, taking pole in Austria and doing it again here in Spain. It's what a difficult track this is as well. And with the situation Killer Blue, he lost about a 1/10 in that last set to just hitting turn number 14, just the car rear end stepping out. Problem is, in those slow speed corners where your tyres are like heated up, it's very easy to slide through there. Those slow speed corners don't do anybody good. I think I want to take the MotoGP line through there, but with the situation also with Izat Kush down in P19, he invalidated down at turn number 2. That's where the tyres are not really being used as much. So he could have backed off and saved some ERS and cooled the tyres down, because when he hit turn 2, there was like 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. So he could have just backed off, saved ERS there. But sadly for him, he just kept pushing and tried to see what the tyres felt like, and sadly for him, it ended up in P19. So good job to Nathan there. Killer Blue up into P5, still a good result, and there's still the race to come. Let's see what it has to offer us for Spain. Look a bit cloudy there on my screen.
Yeah, a little bit cloudy on mine as well. Not quite the sunny conditions we saw here in our qualifying session, but at least for now it does appear to be dry, as we're very quickly going to be jumping into the formation lap and the start of the race here. I think the driver's just itching to get started, itching to jump in here. We'll see how they all play out. Of course, here in Spain, weather can be a bit of a factor. We saw that at least in Division 3, there was some rain in qualifying, and with the clouds, it could go either way. But we'll keep an eye out here as this session plays out. But time has ticked down. We've got the one red light and getting ready to start the formation lap, led by Nathan. And of course, for everybody else behind, the question is, can you catch him? Can we catch this, I'll say this reserve driver who's just shown up the last 2 weeks and has been essentially lights out? We'll take a look and we'll see how it's all going to play out. Of course, top 10 all on the soft tires as expected. That is the tire they set their quickest lap time on in qualifying. Interestingly, though, in 11th, best of the rest here, Nolan, with his free choice of tires, opting to put on a set of hard tires. So maybe trying that one stop, going very long, hard to softs. Behind him, Dan, Rotation, Old School, XL Gary, and Larkin, all in the mediums. Cox and Carmentelis choosing the hard tires as well in 17th and 18th, excuse me, with Isaac Kush down in 19th, and Calvin rounding out the grid on the mediums in 20th here. So a little bit of an interesting call from the strategy. Now, Jamie, if you were in these shoes, had that free choice of tires, would you go for the mediums and possibly commit to the 2-stop, or would you try that soft to hard 1-stop?
Soft to hard, 1-stop, judging by previous experience, which I lost out to. Mediums to softs as well. So I think the 1-stop, despite the tyre wear being high, is much faster out here. But it all depends as well with safety cars, because I think with a safety car, there's a high chance losing it at turn 9, possibly losing it out of turn 11, just dropping the car on the exit. So we'll see what strategy has to play for us here.
Yep, we'll take a look. That's a good point you're bringing up with the safety cars here. That could really throw a dent into any strategy. High possibility, as you said. We've already seen incidents in turn 8, turn 2, even I believe it's turn 10 or 11.
Turn everywhere.
Yeah, turn everywhere here. I was just trying to narrow down a couple spots so we can keep an eye out. But of course, definitely a possibility for safety cars, high possibility here, as we've already seen with the other divisions. But as the drivers take their positions on the grid, we're just about set for the 5 red lights and the start of the Spanish Grand Prix here for the Division 1 Championship. It is round 2 here at Circuit Barcelona, Catalonia. I'm excited. Hope you are too, as we're up to 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off, and we are racing here in Spain, as it looks to be a good start here from everybody on the grid. You can see Wouter trying to go down the middle here as he's trying to cut off Mark as they head into turn 1. But Campbell is going to be leading the charge. Got a great jump here, overtaking Nathan on the drag race into turn 1. Down in second, though, is Nathan, followed by the 2 Red Bulls of Mark and Jerome, who were able to keep Wouter behind in 5th. But Major Viking and Jamie side by side behind them as they're going through the end of Sector 1, and it looks like as if Killer Blue, or Jamie, got the better of that battle as they've sorted themselves out as they head towards turn 8 for the first time. Is everyone going to make it through? It looks like they will, as a little bit more overtaking rotation on Gary a little bit further down. Larkin getting past Coxey here as they head towards the end of Sector 2 down what would be one of the DRS straights here, battling for position. But so far on the first lap, everybody seems to have made it through relatively cleanly, although you can see Calvin still trying to keep with Old School there right behind him through Sector 3. We got a spinner. Who is that? That's Dan, who spun as he's facing the wrong way, gets back on track quick enough, but that's some wing damage on that Ferrari, so that's going to be a very early pit stop. Not what Dan was hoping for on those medium tires, trying to go a little bit long. And once again, as I say, everybody makes it through cleanly. We get a spinner, so I think I'm going to stop saying that there at the end of lap 1.
It's a shame for Dan there. He lost it where a lot of people would lose it. It's a very difficult corner, especially qualifying as well. But that was a very good start from QVR Campbell. His initial phase allowed him to get side by side with Nathan. Nathan couldn't do anything about it, sadly for him. He just had to try and see if he could go around the outside into turn 1 or down the inside into turn 2. But good start for both Red Bulls there. Mark went around the outside. Walter got compromised on the inside line, and he made contact with Mark's rear tyre, and it allowed Giroud Vizsla to come through as well. So that was a good start for both Red Bulls there. Walter demoted down into P5, noted on the hard compound tyre, by the way. He's on to P10, so that's a good start for him. And the soft one on Tinker, he needs to get ahead of that hard one. He can't afford to stay behind him. He needs to join the soft tyre crew.
Yeah, he's going to really need to push here, but of course, it's very difficult to overtake here. Oh no, and that's Rotation, who went for a little bit of a spin as he's getting back on track here, so not the start he was hoping for, and it looks like Isaac Kush had a spin himself, I think just due to his own means there. Unfortunately for Isaac, as his charge up the field, that is definitely not going to help. But the question is, did he take any damage? He's going to be continuing on, so he should be okay. But Calvin's taking a pit stop here very early on, so quite possibly could have come in contact with either Izat or Rotation, which could have maybe led to one of those spins, but didn't quite get to see it, so can't speak for certainty.
Yeah, so when Rotation spun, it was just wrong time, wrong place for Calvin there. Sadly, he collected him, so Calvin there sustaining full damage, and he will go on the hard compound tyres. I'm not sure if he can take them to the end. He might do, in fact, but he best hope for a safety car. So is Dan over Rotation as well. We're looking for Rotation there. I'm not quite sure if he picked up any damage. I don't think he has, so he stays in 18th place there. Just needs to try and get the pace to try and rejoin back in that fight. But Calvin then up into P1 already on lap 2 because, well, he made the move very early. I would expect him to just stay behind, look after those tyres, and stay with his DRS, but he's decided to pull the pin very early in this stage, and he retakes the lead of this race off of QBR Campbell. QBR Campbell as well, I really hope for a good race because he was quite unlucky in the first race of the season when Dan's wheel disconnected, and QBR Campbell was there just at the wrong place at the wrong time. But DRS is enabled now, and they're able to use it onto lap 2. Both Red Bulls are in a really good position in P3 and P4, as Relentless Nathan sets the fastest lap of this race.
Yeah, so Nathan is flying, but Campbell here going for, or showing that he was thinking about going for a move down the inside into turn 1, just was not able to close up enough with DRS. So it looks like Nathan will be hanging on to that P1 here. Here in these early stages, starting lap 4, but I think we've got a good battle here ahead of us, especially with the two Red Bulls as well that are just about ready to pounce and hoping for a mistake or a challenge here in the top 2. You know that they're going to be ready to go for it when they see an opportunity. But at least for now, we're going to be remaining single file here as drivers are past that initial